Today, I will be demonstrating the principles of baking. The basic foundation of baked products is usually flour and liquid. Fat, sugar, salt, eggs, leavening agents, and flavorings are other common ingredients that may or may not be used in a recipe, depending on the product desired. Each ingredient has its own role and function in baked products. Roles may vary somewhat from one type of batter or dough to another. Various liquids in a baked product may function differently. Generally, liquids serve as a solvent for salt, sugar, and other solutes. It assists in dispersing alkaloids and suspensions, assists in developing gluten, and contributes to both the leavening and gelatinization phenomena during baking. In addition to sweetening baked products, sugar facilitates air cooperation by shortening, inhibits the development of gluten and gelatinization of starch, and elevates the temperature at which egg and flour proteins heat denature. Eggs contribute to the structure of a baked product by helping to heat denature proteins, producing steam for leavening, or producing moisture for starch gelatinization. The leavening source used in a baked product may serve to produce gas by physical, chemical, or biological methods. For my recipe, I will be making vegan chocolate chip cookies. I will be experimenting with a couple of unconventional ingredients. So first, I will be using almond flour instead of regular all-purpose flour as the base of my dough. So almond flour is not a common flour, but it has become popular for gluten-free recipes. It can be used for baked goods or also in savory dishes like meatballs or as a breading for chicken or fish. Almond flour is a great gluten-free substitute that is high in protein, fiber, magnesium, and vitamin E. It also will add texture and a nutty flavor to the recipe. For my liquid, I will be using aquafaba. If you're not familiar with it, it is the slightly viscous liquid found in canned garbanzo beans. It has become a popular item used in baked vegan goods. So it's full of starch from the canned chickpeas and make a great binder in baking. When aquafaba is whipped into a foam, it provides a great lift and fluffy texture similar to eggs. To start, I will add my dry ingredients to one bowl. So first, I will add a 1 cup and 1/4 cup of almond flour. I'll also add a 1/3 cup of gluten-free flour as well. So that's 1/3 cup. And also a 1/3 cup of brown sugar, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and a 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. So I went ahead and mixed up all my dry ingredients in one bowl. I will also add a 1/3 cup of chocolate chips to that, and I will set that aside. So next, I will be working with my wet ingredients. So to start, I'm gonna start with 1 can of aquafaba from 1 can of garbanzo beans. So I'll go ahead and whip this up and make it nice and light and fluffy and frothy. So I've just finished using my hand KitchenAid mixer to whip my aquafaba liquid. So it's now has transformed, as air incorporated with it. Now it's all a nice and fluffy texture to it. So next, I'm gonna add all my wet ingredients to my dry ingredients. So I'm gonna add my aquafaba liquid. Make sure I get all of that in there. Three tablespoons of coconut oil. It's my source of fat. And also a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And I will go ahead and use my handheld mixer again to whip this all up. So mixing is an important factor in producing any baked good. So the mixing blades themselves make a big difference. These influence the viscosity, degree of dispersion, air incorporation, and other quality characteristics. So in general, the objective in mixing batters and doughs are the uniform distribution of ingredients, the minimum loss of the leavening agent, optimum blending to produce characteristic textures, and optimum development of gluten for various products. So I went ahead and finished mixing my dough. I have it wrapped. I'm gonna go ahead and chill the dough in the fridge for at least 30 minutes, if not longer. So the purpose for doing this is chilling the dough before baking solidifies the fat in the cookies. And as the cookies bake, the fat in the chilled cookie dough takes longer to melt than room temperature fat. And the longer the fat remains solid, the less the cookies will spread. In addition, the sugar in the dough will gradually absorb the liquid. So if you bake the dough immediately before sugar has a chance to absorb much liquid, that liquid remains free in the dough and promotes spread. So think of this in terms of thin versus thick pancake batter. So the more liquid in the batter, the more it spreads, right? So the same with the cookies. And this chilling will also concentrate the flavor and change the texture of the dough. The dough has been allowed a lot of time to chill. Oven is preheated to 375 degrees, and we'll pop these in for about 12 to 18 minutes.